Hi, my name is Nate, and I'm here to show you some worm composting, real-life situations out of my garage. There's the garage, and here's the compost bins. So I'm using worms. They're called red wigglers, and you can buy them online or maybe from a local source. You can check that out on the internet. But what I have is two bins, two styles of bins. I have the square one, and I have this one, which is called Can of Worms. This one's the Worm Factory, I guess. It doesn't really matter. I even have an outdoor wooden one, which you might see on one of the other videos. So I've got some worms that are trying to go to another city, maybe the other bin, I don't know which. I've got fruit flies in here, which I'm working on controlling. And the interesting thing is it can get pretty moist in here. So you're supposed to moisten the bedding. This is just shredded paper. So if you could read all these pieces, you'd know my account numbers and stuff, because that's the paper that I use. So the worms aren't really hanging out in this because it is a little bit dry. And down here is the wonderful part. So the wonderful part is that there is food scraps. So all of this is like a potato peel, and check that out. It's actually growing potatoes. And here's some fennel that we had the other night, and some oranges, and they're eating the decomposing material off of each food until it's all gone. And these little specks, they look like little tiny eggs. That's actually all their poop. So I'm really in the thick of the poop here. And you know, you'll start off with a pound of worms, and you'll end up with like 15 pounds. And what determines how many worms you end up with is how the conditions are. So if the conditions are just right, you'll get lots and lots of worms, and if they aren't, they'll either run to the side in mass quantities, or they'll go down deep to the lower bin, or they'll just start dying off. Water, moisture, temperature, and the food is all what changes their mind on whether or not they're going to survive. When you first get a pound of worms, you might find that it takes a while. One of these, you need 2 worms to make basically 5 worms, and that can happen within a month. So you could have a lot of worms really quickly. So if you have 2 worms, and then that makes 5 worms within a month, then you have 5 making 5 more. And if you start with a pound, which is about 1,000 worms, then you're going to have a lot of worms real quick. And one thing they won't eat is, I don't know if you can see this on the video, but there's shredded plastic, which is probably from a envelope. So you have to come in here, keep the bedding thick. It needs to be an inch or 2 thick to keep the fruit flies out, and you have to mix these guys around because they start getting hot. It's actually kind of warm. You need to mix them around so that they feed on other stuff, and you don't want any of the food to go anaerobic because there's not enough oxygen. So if you mix it around, the worms stay healthy because they don't get burned out by the lack of oxygen, and your food breaks down better so that they can eat it. So you can really see there's a whole bunch here. I just turned this the other day, and they're just multiplying like crazy. It's just really incredible. So I'll show you, I'll put this to the side. I'll show you the second bin. So even though they're eating a lot of food, it doesn't amount to much. I mean, this is like, I don't know, a month's worth of food. All of our food scraps that are not meat, and it's turning into that. There is some here in this part. Most of it's going down to the second bin. And not many worms there. There's probably some castings in there, so we could get more worms that way. Most of them are being drawn to this top bin. So that's it. Thank you. My name's